not nearly live enough. From the studios of PLU TV, this is CBS News with Mike Walrus and Diane Soybean.
Good evening. Our top story tonight. The CBS News Investigative Unit gets high on drugs. Excuse me, that is, it gets high marks for a report on drugs on campus. Joining us from his classroom to talk about this problem is Ed Clausen. Ed, what is your responsibility as a professor in this area?
The best thing a professor can do for the students at PLU, I think, is provide an example for sexual and drug liberation so that the students can engage in as much a kind of experimentation as they feel is necessary. Because once they get out of PLU, of course, then they'll have to live straighter lives.
I see. Do you or others act as suppliers?
As frequently as I possibly can. The difficulty is that we don't have a rich clientele, so they won't pay top dollar for the better drugs. Okay. Get that off there, too. That ends up downstairs over here.
But honey, I thought you liked it better that way. I gotta go. And now for our first CBS News thought for the day.
Stand before a big screen for an hour and a half, if you will, and avoid the temptation to scratch your nose.
Finally tonight, as is customary on this program, we would like to leave you with something that's a little less hard news. When you think of commencement, what do you think of?
A sore backside?
Besides that?
My favorite part has always been the hymn sung at the close.
That's a favorite part of mine as well. So here tonight, as we bring this newscast to a close, we'd like to lead you in the premiere arrangement of Earth and No Stars. If your stomach can take it, please sing along. I don't know if you can go right. It looks like there's a moat off that.
Well, there must be a way. Are we there yet?
Yes, we are. You are there.
Brian, just walk down the road and say it was a great trip.
Watch the ice. Now this is much, I don't mean this sparingly, but this is much lighter than Brian.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. I am very glad to hear that. Because his looks just more than a person can bear.
Now, there's nobody left to help me.
You've always been on your own.
That's true.
Yeah, I know it's taking you guys so long. We've been done for almost 10 minutes now.
Did you get that on dialogue?
All right, I'm going to rewrite the script.
I know Cliff's still reading the instruction sheet.
Instruction sheet? I thought that was another of your proposals. I didn't bother to read. Okay, it's 10 to 2. I've been waiting since 1:30 when I had an appointment to be interviewed by a student.
I'm really sorry, Mr. Rowe?
It's Rao.
Rao, I'm sorry. I got hung up in traffic and
Oh, that happens.
I'm sorry. I'll you know, if we have to do it again, I'll try and get a hold of you ahead of time. Could I start out by having you say your name and how you would like me to address you on this videotape?
Certainly. My name is Clifford Rao, and Clifford is probably the preferred.
Okay. Okay. Are you a professor or anything?
Yes, full
Okay.
professor.
Okay. All right. Well, Cliff Rowe. Maybe.
That's Rao.
Oh, I'm sorry. Professor Rao.
Just Clifford.
Okay. I'm really sorry. Have you ever been interviewed before?
Yes, a number of times. This one's starting out a little unusual, but yes, I have.
Okay. Well, we'll try and make it easy. Okay, Cliff. Maybe you could tell me a little bit about what it is that you do.
Well, I teach journalism at Pacific Lutheran University.
And have you been with them very long?
About 20 years full time.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Boy, you really know the business then of education and journalism?
Oh, I like to think I do. I came out of professional journalism and started teaching. And
Yeah, yeah. What school did you go to then?
for my undergraduate, I went to Pacific University in Forest Grove, Oregon, and I went to Northwestern for a master's degree.
How do you think that program compares to what you're teaching now? Have you brought some of those skills into the classroom from what you learned?
I think probably I brought more into the classroom than I learned in the business than I did out of...
Well, so you're in the business too?
Well, I was in journalism for 20 years, working for newspapers.
Well, so you're doing newspapers before you got in the classroom?
Yes.
Do you like newspapers better? To work with
Than
newspapers
teaching?
Than teaching?
Not really. I like them both very much.
What would you rather be doing?
Just what I'm doing right now, the teaching.
So you've been involved in teaching for 25 years?
20.
20 years. And how have you found the students working in classes over the years? Has there been more motivation among students to want to get involved in journalism, or do you find that it's kind of a lack of interest in that?
Oh, I think that there's a great interest in communication in general.
Can we stop here? My
Sure.
battery's dying.
Sure.
Okay, just a second. Okay, I think we're all set now. My battery had passed away there a little bit, so I'm just going to get another shot. Do you remember what it was we were talking about?
I think we were talking about motivation of students
Right,
to
yeah,
go into
yeah.
communication.
What do you think about the motivation of students in the classroom these days?
Well, I think those in communication are highly motivated. Our program's the largest department on the campus, and I think that shows an interest among many students coming in. Relative motivation, I think students are as motivated now as they ever have been.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was just adjusting my camera. How long do you think you'll continue working in the classroom?
Oh, as long as I'm able to do it. I enjoy teaching very much. I'm not looking forward to retirement at this point at all.
Okay, and do you think you'll ever get back into the newspaper business?
I doubt it at this point.
How come?
Well, I mean, when you reach a certain age, you're not going to start all over again in another career. I'm happy to wind it down in this one.
Well, so are you getting ready to retire then?
Well, just by age, I have to be thinking about it. No, I'm not getting ready to.
Oh, I thought maybe because you were wanting not to do the newspaper anymore that you wanted to stick in the classroom. That you're.
No, it's just a matter of where my energy is and that.
Do you feel energized when you walk into the classroom?
Oh, very much so. Every class.
And what causes that energy to come about?
Well, you might call it fear. You're always afraid of failure or of something not working, so the adrenaline's always a little high. But I think the enthusiasm of the students is somewhat contagious.
So you say that the students are enthused when they come into the classroom?
Some of them are.
Well, I think I got everything that I need. Is there, do you think I left anything out?
I don't know really where you were going. I didn't really see a a pattern here, but
Well, this was my first time, and I'm new behind the camera, so I thought maybe I'd see if we could make this work.
it'll be very interesting to see what you've come up with.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for your time, and maybe we can do it again sometime.
Maybe.
I used to think I was a hard-bid journalist. I find anymore I get up to have to talk about PLU or journalism or things like that, I start cracking up. I'll probably be bawling all over the thing. I was asked to moderate a panel today, and I figured, well, that's enough penance. That was worth coming down for. Frankly, I'm overwhelmed. I can't. This is really something. I know one thing. If you ever want to have things said about you well, whether they're good or bad, teach journalists. There have been occasions where graduates have been asked to write letters on my behalf, or when I retired as advisor to the MAS, the things that were said by the students, I thought, wow, what a bunch of great writers. Really good. The fact that they felt they were also being honest was doubly encouraging. At the panel today, I mentioned that in the last 2 years, I've had the privilege, it has been good, of attending my 50th college reunion and my 55th high school reunion. And the one message I came out with from those two experiences: don't ask the former profs and teachers to stand up and start talking about what happened. They don't remember, for one thing, and they have no sense of termination. They go on. So I'm not going to be guilty of that. I just say thank you so much. I really wish you'd have waited till May. I've got one more semester and I could goof up big time before that. But I also would acknowledge my wife, and my family certainly knows, and I think a lot of students know, that I need all the help and support I can get. And she has provided an ample amount. And to have had my daughter in a class, my dad was a journalism prof at Pacific. I wanted to go to the University of Oregon, and he insisted that he could teach me journalism as well as anybody else. And he did. But I had not only a daughter in the class, but my son, Stuart, who was a MAS editor. But that wasn't a trying time. But don't get me started on it. Anyway, thank you so much. This has been one of the most amazing, wonderful days that I've ever had as a teacher or anything else. Thank you so much.